All right, welcome back to the program. Fife Banks, the managing partner, Braveicons Global, is joining me. Fife Banks is also is the chairman Young CEOs at the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, an expert in small business management. Welcome to the show, Fife. It's nice seeing you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. It's great to be here.
Now, let's get started. Workers' Day, it has come and gone.
Right.
This is where, Workers' Day is always characterized in Nigeria, especially around public workers, or
Right.
civil service workers, or so to speak. I don't think we have so much attention for
The private sector.
yes, for private sector. And I guess that private sector employs even more than the government, because businesses in Nigeria, small businesses in Nigeria, employ about 84% of jobs and 98% of employment. So, Fife, as we celebrated this Workers' Day, as someone that, that is into talent acquisition and all of that, what were your reflections really? What should we reflect on as workers and as business owners?
Thank you very much. That's a very brilliant question, and let's begin to dig into it really. So you mentioned that Workers' Day generally in Nigeria has been built around the public sector workers, and the fact of the matter is that the federal government still remains the highest employer of labor in Nigeria. But combined, the private sector, because if you're looking at individual organizations, nobody, employs as much as the federal government. And we're talking about the 3 tiers of government put together. Of course, there is a recent report that talks about the fact that the Indian government, employs the second highest number of labor in Nigeria. Before you then begin to talk of the banks, even Dangote, that used to be at the forefront, is not one of the top 5, right? So this last May 1st, Labor Day, what were the things that crossed my mind? A whole lot of issues, really, because you see, the world is now venturing into the 4th industrial revolution, and whether we like it or not, I know that Nigeria, we like to play the ostrich all the time as if these things does not concern us, but it does. Because one of the major factors that affect, labor globally is globalization, as you know, and of course the transference of skills. You can be here and do business with somebody in Kenya, somebody in Russia. So a lot of things, ran through my mind, one of which is, do we actually have people that will take Nigeria into the future when it comes to work, when it comes to labor, both, at the public sector level or even in the private sector, because people are very, very important when it comes to not just the administration of business, but the success of business in itself. Yes, a government can have a vision, a small business owner can have a vision of how they want to create value in the marketplace. But you see, just like without vision, people perish, without people, vision perishes, right? So a lot, went through my mind. Do we have the right people amongst our young people? Because come to think of it, Nigeria is a young people's nation, right? And then we have young people nowadays who are unemployable, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Chief is which is the curriculum, that is not preparing our young people for the realities of the workplace, right? There are other issues. Our recent adopted culture, of how young people want to blow. And so they're not willing to go through the process, and develop skills, that will be very, very essential for them to forge a career, right? So I thought about that, the young people. But then again, you have to think about, are there even jobs, in Nigeria? I just returned from a trip to the United States of America, and almost every mall, everywhere you enter, you see we're hiring. Now, these are...
in the US.
Exactly,
yes.
yeah. I mean, these are precarious work, is not structured in most instances, but there are jobs.
There are jobs, especially now, at least in the last 1 year or so, it's been happening.
Conversely, in Nigeria, some of the jobs that were thrown up, by the aftermath of the pandemic, for instance, are now dwindling. For instance, with the new policy of no COVID, when you're coming back into the country, people are beginning to lose jobs. All the jobs that have come up as a result of the pandemic are even going. And even before we hit the pandemic, the jobs were going anyways because of the things, that affect the 4th industrial revolution, like automation, exponential technologies, and the fact that the requirement of work is really even changing as the demand of value from the consumers are changing. So a lot of businesses have to even tweak, the value that they bring to the marketplace, right? Let's take, for instance, the hospitality sector, right? Which was a major hit, by the pandemic, because people were not going to hotels, people were not traveling and all of that. Now, people are traveling now, but people are becoming more aware that instead of staying in an hotel, I can stay at Airbnb, and there are many other, related, values. So the hotels, they need to rethink their entire value proposition. I know that recently a major hotel in the city, they had to add co-working, to their offering. And as you bring into your business model something that was not there before, then you need to reskill your workforce for them to be able to deliver on that. Right. So a lot, went through my mind because I am passionate about Nigeria. I'm passionate particularly about young people because we are the ones that own and will run this nation. Right. You have a lot of politicians, older folks, they're going to leave these things for us. If they don't leave it, it will leave them. Right? So are we prepared? Are we equipped? Then again, another thing that crossed my mind as I was thinking over, the holidays is the fact that in every system, the Pareto principle will always, come to play. It's always 20%, that are usually in every system doing stuff. So I am a bit, not very agitated when I think about a lot of young people that I know that in their own, little corner, they are developing themselves. They are learning. They are getting exposed. They are building businesses. They are exchanging information, and global best practices with people from other parts of the world. So, because in my own circle, I can tell you, Nancy, I have very brilliant young people who are contributing, and that's one of the things I said at the last SME conference that we had, in this city, that, you see, we cannot always define young people by the bad element. There are some of us that are striving every day. So this gladdens my heart that, okay, in the middle of all this, there are still a crop of people, that are preparing themselves. But what we need to do is to scale, that, and yeah.
Now, the question is, how do we scale? You've made the example now that you work with a lot of brilliant young people. And I must say that I've also seen many brilliant young people doing well in their various endeavors. The question is, what is the ratio of those brilliant young people versus the number of the I want to blow syndrome young people, which is a disease right now in the country, which I think we have not really faced. For business owners, that we know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And it transcends even the skilled and the unskilled.
Absolutely.
For you to get a skilled worker in your business, you would do like this until you even get one, and even unskilled. So how do we close this gap, which I've talked about? I've asked you, I think, 2 questions.
Like 3.
Or 3.
Yeah.
How do we upscale
Yeah.
to have more brilliant young people, despite the challenges which you've enumerated, the curriculum, the I want to blow syndrome too, and all of that, perhaps also the economic challenge and what have you, So, yes.
Okay, so I will take it, one after the other, to say that the ratio is really, really what you would call negligible. If you look at the population, of Nigeria, we're about 200+ million people right now, and young people are more than 70%. So you're talking about young people being at least 150 million. So if you look at, and when I talked about brilliant young people, this has nothing to do with nature. They were not born brilliant, They had to self-apply, and learn, because nobody really is born with skills. We are all born with talent. We have one thing that we can do, but then for those talent to be commercial, for you to be able to exchange value in the market, you need to, develop skills. And I'm going to come to skill in a moment, but the question you asked is, how do we scale, to ensure that the pocket of light, that we have in this overwhelming darkness, we can enhance and accentuate their influence, is we need to incentivize those that are doing well. Nigeria as a culture, does not, and it's something that I think, it's been around for a while, does not really appreciate those who are doing the right things. you know, and it's just like the darkness is so overwhelming. Everybody believes that the wrong way of doing things is the only way. No. In fact, what you see is people, you know, cheek in tongue, I mean, tongue in cheek, you know, and talk about people who are trying to do something right. Like, are you the only one? Is that what your life is all about? And all of so we need to always, you know, bring into the limelight people who are doing very well, people who are deploying their skills, people who are developing themselves, people who are applying themselves to ensure that they learn, they improve. But then again, we need to do much more than that. We need to get to implementing policy. Recently, I was looking through the National Employment Policy, and brilliant document, like every document, you know, in the Nigerian, you know, policy space. Brilliant, brilliant, right? But you see, one of the things we need to do with our document is to ensure that we always, maybe like on a weekly basis, you know, attend to them. What happens is you'll put together, you know, brilliant professionals, you know, who come together, develop a piece of document that is supposed to guide, you know, government in terms of policy, in terms of programs and initiatives. But then it's left somewhere just to be downloaded by people that are doing research, right? And, you know, people just go back to status quo day in, day out. No, we can't do that. So one of the things we can do really is to ensure that we co-create, you know, our curriculum as a nation. And by co-creation, I mean everybody has to be involved, right? The young people, right, whose aspirations for work is totally different than what it used to be for our parents, you know, the baby boomers, even Gen Z's aspirations, totally different from that of millennials. I mean, millennials still want to forge a career path, they still want to develop themselves. Gen Z says, it's my mental health, you know, and, exactly, and, you know, I will do work at my own pace. You know, well, as much as we still have to recognize that Gen Zs, you know, live with us. It's a multi-generational, you know, issue we're dealing with here. So we need to bring everybody to the table. The young people, the students, we need to bring the professors. And see, that's another major challenge. Professors, academics, you know, they've been through the system, but they've not been outside of the system. And
they teach the same way. Exactly. You're teaching the 20th century way in a 21st century way.
Absolutely, and that's one of the major problems. But you see the responsibility at the end of the day, because we cannot keep blaming. We're talking about solutions here. Is that the individual, you, the young person, you know, you are going through the Nigerian education system. Maybe your parents are not able to send you abroad because not everybody's parent will be able to send you abroad for you to get exposed to avant-garde, you know, knowledge and information, right? So here is what you do. You not only, you know, see your education as you already know it's not going to prepare you. And in fact, the purpose of education, I say it all the time, is to replace an empty mind with an open one. Right? So remove this mentality of, when I graduate, I have finished school. You have not finished anything. In fact, you have just been, you know, you have now just been, what's the word now? You've just been instituted into the world of learning.
So you should be receptive to learning.
Exactly. So you should, and we should, you know, involve them, involve the academic, but also involve the employers of labor, you know, who write job descriptions, who are the ones who know the requirement, what they are looking for an individual to be able to fit into their team and deliver value and optimize, you know, whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. But we need to even involve even more people. We need to even involve, you know, people in government. We need to involve pretty much everybody. You need to involve parents, you know, so that parents are aware of what their children are supposed to be learning, you know, because nowadays what you see is young people trying to find a way of manipulating their parents. You know, they say, "Mommy, you don't know what's going on. This is what I'm supposed to be learning right now." And again, the parent is not aware, and so they just feel, "Oh, this is what you should be learning," which may have no bearing, you know, to the talent of that young person, which may have no bearing to how they will be able to generate sustainable income, you know, as the world evolves. So we need to co-create the curriculum. We need to and co-create the national employment policy and attend to it on a daily. Beyond that is, employers of labor, right, also have a responsibility here. Yes, we're talking about reskilling. This really is the remit of the employers of labor, right? Because you already have people working for you. You realize that the dynamics of the workplace and the economy is changing, and so you want your business to remain relevant, to remain profitable, and so you need your people to produce at a rate beyond historical. So it is now necessary for you to help them to reskill, right? You're going to have to invest. So employers of labor should not shy away from this, because when you have better people, you are going to have better performance, better productivity, and of course better profitability. So you need to invest in ensuring that your people are reskilled. You cannot leave it to them, because at the end of the day, you make more money than your workers anyways. You know, you are the owner of the business, and you need to be really jealous about, you know, upskilling and reskilling, you know, your workforce. So there are a lot of, you know, ways by which we can expand the impact. Again, at the individual level, we need to begin to reorientate our young people. We talked just now about the aspiration of I want to blow. And that is something that has really been made so popular by people in our creative industries, particularly the entertainment, you know, sector. And people look at those guys, you know, and feel like I can be like, I don't want to mention names, right? What they don't know is that that person has a team of people working around him as just one talent to ensure that whatever you see on your screen is the finished product. The hours and hours that people have put in to ensure that that finished product is acceptable, you know, to the audience. And the amount of professionals that are involved. The other day, like again, I don't want to mention him, an artist, you know, shut down in New York.
Can mention
you know,
him because he made us proud.
Yeah, I mean,
Bonner Boy.
Yeah, he was in
Madison
New York.
Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. You know, I've been there a couple of times,
Yes.
but you know, I mean,
When I saw Bonner Boy's work,
right,
what it takes him to be Bonner Boy, to do that performance. But young people would just say, ah, Bonner Boy, I want to blow. When I saw the amount of work, rehearsal,
absolutely,
his team,
his team, and that's what we want to emphasize.
Audio, everything.
Exactly.
I was like, and he takes charge. I was like, God.
Yeah.
I was not shocked, but I was like, for someone, for that kind of professionalism, you've got to put in the work.
Exactly. And you see, another thing that, you know, we should think about here is about the exposure of his team. We're talking about reskilling Nigeria's workforce for employability and productivity, because I don't want us to miss the productivity part. Because Nigeria is largely an unproductive nation.
I was coming to that. that was the other part of the question to ask you, if Nigeria really is a productive nation. But anyway, I don't want to spoil your train of thought. You can continue then.
Yeah, so if you look at the team, the people behind the scenes, and the fact that they've done this, not just even for Bonner Boy, you know, but for the top artists around the world. So there is a level of expectation, you know, that if we are doing this on a global stage, this is what we are expecting. So even as they're recruiting people back end, you know, the dancers, the costumiers, all of they know that this is what we're looking for. If you don't match this, then there's no place for you here, because we're thinking of a superb performance, which, you know, arguably be a 3-hour show, 4 hours maximum.
But it took them weeks.
It took them months. Absolutely.
I saw that, I was like, what? It just reminded me of the late Michael Jackson when I saw the amount of work he did. 18 hours of dance, all those electric dance. I said, it took Michael Jackson a lot of time to get to be Michael Jackson.
Absolutely. And I would like to talk about a tool that, you know, I once developed many years ago as a management consultant, you know, being in talent and transaction advisory, and it has proved useful to the different audiences, you know, that have used it. Let me just, you know, give a background, you know, in terms of what I do and I have done in terms of talent advisory, talent optimization, and I would say I'm privileged. In the past 1 year alone, I have been involved in training, executive coaching for public sector organizations, CBN, you know, participants from NNPC, you know, name them, you know, and even private sector, you know, even training entrepreneurs and what have you. But I created a tool many years ago that is just an acronym that anybody, you know, can use in first assessing themselves, whether they have what it takes to deliver on any role. And also, organizations can even use it to assess, you know, the performance of their employees. And it's what I call scanner. You know, that's the pronunciation, but it's essentially SKANNER. S-C-A-N-R, pronounced scanner. Now, the S stands for skills, the K stands for knowledge, the A stands for attitude, the N stands for network, and the R stands for resources. You see, the only thing your employer will make available is the resources. But the scan, you have to do it for yourself. So when we're talking about vulnerabilities and super performance and all of that, you see the skill level of the people behind the scene and the thought pattern, you know, the way they think and the way they've taught over the years to have been able to reproduce excellence at every point in time is something that has to do with skills. It's no longer at, you know, talent level, skills. And skills, you know, when we talk about skills, it's broad. Because, you know, people just say soft skills and hard skills. No, it's much more than that, right? Life skills, self-management skills, even in art skills, you have technical skills, you know, and you have, you know, some other forms of digital skills are coming out there. That's a subcomponent of technical skills. But you see, in the world we are getting into, you need to have a combination of all these things, right? Emotional intelligence skills, being able to relate with people, you know, because if you've mastered the hard part, let's say you are very good, you know, at what you do, but you're working with people. So if you don't know how to relate with people, there's going to be a lot of friction, which will slow down your own productivity, which will invariably slow down the productivity of the, you know, of the company. So skills, and then knowledge. When you talk to our young people, not just our young people, Nigerians generally, Nigerians, you know, do a lot of pseudo knowledge acquisition, you know. So you go online, Twitter, you get some information, you know, on health from somebody that is not a doctor. You get, you know, on investment from, and that's why you see all the Ponzi schemes around. So a lot of people know about something, but they don't actually know something. So there is a lot of gap when it comes to domain-specific knowledge, right? So you see policemen who probably don't even know what it means to be a policeman. You know, and they've gone through training college. You know, you see people that say we are fashion designers who don't know the rudiments.
They're tailors.
Well, maybe they're tailors. Exactly. So we need to focus
because if you want to
get
to the Versace's, the Gucci's,
absolutely, you need to know
all of you Tom Hilfigers. You've got to
know what you're talking about. And in fact, as a small business owner, you need that also. So that, you know, consultant like myself will not just come and bamboozle you with buzzwords. No, seriously. You need to know for the purpose of your business. Small businesses are not able to afford consultant, you know, you know what it is, you know. But then at least invest in knowing for yourself, right? You know, investigate before you invest.
Yeah.
Right. So knowledge, K, skills, knowledge, attitude.
Attitude, very important.
Extremely important. Extremely important. In fact, people who don't have attitude expect other people to have attitude. You know, to have the right attitude to work, you know, to have emotional intelligence skills, being able to relate with people socially, empathy, you know, being empathetic with other people, right? And then you now talk about network, which really is very, very essential for you as a professional. Because at a point in time, it will not be what you know, it will be who you know. And this is one of the things, you know, I was trying to do in that regard when I first moved to Abuja and I started hosting the program LinkedIn Local Abuja, is to be able to facilitate that, you know, networking so that people can learn. You can have mentors, you can have, you know, what you call plugs, contact, such that in the course of your work, if you need to get anything done that are not within, you know who to call.
Who to call. Very important.
Absolutely important.
But that's social capital.
Social capital, yeah.
So who do you know? You may not have access to someone or something, but like you're 2 persons away from the person.
Absolutely. You should even, as an employer of labor, be 1 call away from.
Yes.
You know, people like coaches, consultants, lawyers. Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah.
You should be 1 call away.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, and then resources. Like I said again, employers have to be the catalyst for reskilling their workforce, so you need to provide the necessary, you know, resources, gadgets, things that people need to be able to deliver on whatever it is on their job description, or even as the business, you know, evolves and wants to become more sustainable in this new world, you need to then give to your workforce what they need, internet, you know, and all of that.
Fife, forced to say that I will have you back,
Right.
because there's no time for us now. We've got to launch the next segment, but we'll arrange that, and we'll maybe talking around skilling for small businesses, because there are a lot of small businesses in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
But I want to say thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Fife Banks, who is the managing partner of Braveicons Global. He's also the chairman, Young CEOs at the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Go to our YouTube channel, watch this show again in case you're a small business owner, and you're a young person that perhaps wants to blow, but wants to go through the process to blow. You know. All right, let's quickly take this from the Apex Bank, like I said earlier, about the National Theatre, the rehabilitation around the National Theatre, and the amount of work that is going on there to encourage the creative industry. Don't forget, be the best you can be that change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. I will join me tomorrow. So you will see me again tomorrow on your devices and on this station. Be the best you can be the change you want to see. Bye now.
The governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, said the federal government will commission the renovated National Art Theatre in November. Emefiele spoke during an inspection tour to the site by stakeholders in the banking industry and executives of federal and state government in Igamu.